All right. If you have not watched my season and off-season recap of my 1960 Continental Football League, I advise you to. If you're curious, I won't recap the whole thing. So there are only two teams that are effectively going to change because they suffered some off-season setbacks, mostly due to financial situation. So for instance, Allentown didn't have any changes, so all I did was write in their cash, and I added 1961 to their. So I'm not going to rewrite all of this. These are the players. Everything, nothing's changed. This is 60 and 61. Next year, I'll probably start with a fresh sheet for Allentown. That's if they all survive. So Portsmouth, same thing, right? 60 and 61. I don't have to change anything. I just write the cash in. The New York Tycoons. Exact same thing, 60-61, nothing changes. The Raleigh Rebels, 60-61, nothing changes. And these, of course, are non-league teams. So that means there are two teams I've got to do here before I start trying to schedule games. The easy one, we're going to do the easy one first. That is Muncie. So Muncie's getting a new sheet along with Canton. Canton is going to have to see everything change. Muncie, everything's intact except they lost their special teams coach thanks to off-season pressure, and that pressure was in the vein of two things. One, one thing, they had no money. They were in the hole in money. So we want to go all the way back here to Appendix A, which is team creation. Appendix A. Team creation. All I want to do with Muncie is get a new special teams coach. So my head coach is Smith. He's a 0, so no help there, right? And we have to make a roll. There is no Muncie has no flaw here, and their ID was defense. They are still +1 on defense, so that's their club identity, and that won't change unless their head coach changes, right? And I need a die. Here we go. We're going to need a die. Let's try to pick one that doesn't roll forever so I don't end up chasing it around the room and I don't end up waiting for it to land. All right, so Muncie's just looking at a new coach. Here we go. My head coach gives me no bonus. I don't have anything to help me there. Here's the funny thing. Muncie lost a -1 coach. So ironically, what's ironic about that is good. Good riddance. Donaldson, right? He's a -1. So let's see what the new special teams coach is going to look like. 3. He's going to be average. +0. And we're going to give him a name Stevenson. How about that? Stevenson. All right. Now, the good thing is I get to... Now, because I lost a coach, I got to re-roll all of the things that were tied to it. That's 4 rating. Remember, the special teams coach by himself is worth 4 ratings. So they're probably, I mean, without a doubt, they're one of the most valuable coaches because they set 4 of your special teams. All right, so here we go. Let's see. What did it do to the field goal kicker to get a new special teams coach? 2. He's going to be -1. They were +1, so a huge loss. They went down 2 points from 1 to 0 to -1. That's a huge loss for them. Let's see what their return game does. 1. Oh my God, -2. So their return team's falling apart. So their new coach is having trouble organizing this squad. Their punter is +2. Well, obviously he knows how to come in and get the most out of the punter. Their punter was a +0. So their field goals dropped. Their return coverage or the return game dropped. But their punt jumped, and their coverage hopefully will improve. Oh, yeah, +2. Actually, that's not good for... I don't think that's good for defense, actually. So I think both punt... Actually, field goal's not good. That's easy. Return might actually be good. Punt and cover, +2. Holy cow. So they're done, right? Muncie Flyers are done. Of course, I'll transfer the names of their players over. Probably because their punt changed so drastically, I'll replace their punter, I'll replace their place kicker. So what'll change is, for instance, everything will stay the same for 61, except I will change Thomas is stricken. Starring will be stricken, and so will Burns. So all three of their special teams players will change. We're going to go with Martin for the punter, Jacobs for the place kicker, and Wilson for the return man. We got now 1960-61 intact. Cash, 0, right? What's most important here, though, is putting them on their new cards, because this is what I put in front of me when I play. So Muncie, Flyers, 1961. Their offense, +0. Their ball security, +1. Their defense is their strength, +1. Their takeaway, +0. Their field goals have changed. Their return game's changed. Their punt has changed. Their coverage has changed. So we want the new ones. Where are the new ones? Oh, here we go. Field goal, -1. -2 return. +2 punt. +2 coverage. And then, of course, we've got weather. Their weather modifier is +1. Their schedule rate is 1 to 2. And then, of course, their run TD was, and that won't change because they haven't changed coaches, their run TD was 4+. All right, so they're done. We have one team left to do, and I've saved them for dead last because they were the league champs. Voted league champs, right? They didn't have to actually win a championship game. They were awarded the league champions. So 1960 CFL champs. But their head coach, Thompson, who was a -1. So again, good riddance. Thompson goes, he's actually poached. Somebody poached this -1 coach to coach the Michigan State Spartans. So, ironically, the owner, Jackson, is laughing up his sleeve that his secret weapon was this coaching staff, which remains intact, right? All he needs now is a new. So we don't replace the coaches because he can't afford it, but we do have to roll up a new head coach. And from there, we have to recreate the entire team. So first off, let's just go ahead and get our new head coach. Is he better than Thompson? 4. He's average, so we'll take that, +0. And we're going to go with Molson as the new head coach. Johnny Molson will come in, an old friend of Jackson from back in the days when they played rugby at Yale or something like that. Who knows? I don't know. All right, but because we lost the new head coach, we must recreate the entire team because there is no identity. There are no flaws. So the first thing we do is roll the identity for Canton. What's going to change? 5. Ball control, +1 security marked for a secondary role. So remember, that's a bonus. So their ID, down here I'm going to make a note, ID, security, ball control, right? Security, +1 as a ball control team. So Molson comes in. And he says, we're gonna make sure the one way we don't lose games around here is turning the ball over. So that's their ID. That +1 is added to the actual ball security roll when we check to see what their rating is. You don't add it, you don't make it the rating, you're gonna add it to the roll. So that's our identity. Pretty cool, right? Okay, next up we do our flaw. What does he fail to bring to the table though, this new head coach too? He's soft defense. Oh shite, there goes Canton's chances of being a champ. This blocks a +1 identity or core strength. Well, we don't have an identity, and we haven't rolled core strength yet. So right now, there is a flaw. Soft defense. Oh my gosh. Okay, so how do we confirm that? If either appear, they do. We have a soft defense. Roll the 1 to 3. The flaw holds. No. So it doesn't hold. It's not obvious. So again, we had this happen with my Washington team. With those who tuned in to watch me build the Washington Lawmen, I had the same thing happen. There was a chance we had a soft defense. Turned out through the course of camp and everything, we determined we don't have one. So that's technically not a flaw. So I would put a slash through that, meaning Molson does definitely bring ball security, ball control, and ball security to the Canton Bulldogs. He's known for having a weak defense or a soft defense. Or maybe he's soft toward defense. He's not a big proponent of defense. Maybe he just kind of says, hey, Watson, you take care of defense. Maybe he's just lazy about defense. It don't matter. It's not true, right? Okay, next up, win to roll core strength. If you have only a +0/+0 offense defense, or you already have a core rating, we're done. We don't have either, so I get to roll. So 1 to 3, they're going to be a +1 offense. 4 through 6, they're a +1 defense. It would be nice to see another +1 offense. We only have one. Oh, they were. So they were a +1 offense. There were 2 +1 offenses. Canton was the other one. So, but they won the title. So, yeah, maybe they'll. Well, let's just roll and find out what they have. Oh, +1 offense. So Canton, basically what that means is these players, they are definitely the strength of this team. Roscoe, Hemingway, and Roberts are the strength of this team. So Molson comes in, he establishes ball control, but this team is a definite +1. All right, so now we got to do the rest of the team, right? Okay. So that's done. The identity, the flaw, and validating our strength. Done. All right, so here we go. All of our coaches are set. We have Molson, the brand new head coach. We have Gilbert at OC, comes over from the last administration. We have a +1 DC who's fantastic. Watson, he helped this team. Despite them being a strong offense, he helped them go 3-2-1. And then their special teams coach O'Malley is average. So we don't have to roll them up. The offensive coach, we add to ball security. He's a 0, but we already get a +1 bonus for our head coach. So add 1 to this die roll for our ball security. 5 +1. Yep. So this team, last year, Canton was +1/+1. They lose a worse coach. They replace. So basically, this is the Barry Switzer Dallas Cowboys situation. You lose a 2-time Super Bowl champion coach unceremoniously, a battle between the two. Does he quit or does he resign? Does he fired? Whatever, doesn't matter. He's gone, and he hires his buddy from college. His college roommate comes in, Barry Switzer, and the team doesn't change except he focuses on not turning the ball over. So either way, it looks a lot like the old 94 Cowboys that had to bring in Barry Switzer. I think it was 94. I can't remember. All right, so our defense we know is a +0 because you cannot have both unless you happen to nail it on the charts. But takeaway. So our offensive coordinator, I just did that. Defensive coach is a +1. So add 1 to this. 5 +1 takeaway. Last year they were 0. So the new head coach has definitely inspired this staff to be better. Last but not least, the special team coach is 0. Their field goal last year was horrible, -2. Anything's better than that. +1 field goal. Uh-oh, Canton may be back-to-back champs. Return game, average, +0. Punt, 2, -1. Their punt was +1 last year, and their coverage, +0. And their run touchdown. They were a 3+ running team last year. Ball control, we're going to go 2+. They run touchdowns, so they're going to run the ball even more for touchdowns. So this new coach, Molson, comes in, keeps this core intact, keeps the staff intact, focuses on controlling and keeping the ball safe, and improves their takeaways, improves their field goals, sees the punt slip a little, but that's all right. And folks, Canton is better than they were last year. How about that? So despite losing Thompson, poached away. Sometimes poachers can help you, right? Imagine a poacher coming in and taking away a coach that really was bolstered by the talent and the coaching staff around him. Jackson's laughing up his sleeve. You can have him, right? 1961. So Michigan State just got a coach that they think is the reason this team was a champion. Obviously, not quite. Offense, +1. Security, +1. Defense, +0. Takeaway, improved, +1. Field goal, +1. Return, +0. Punt dropped a notch, -1. Coverage, though, solid, +0. Right? Their weather, that's on this chart over there, +0 effect for weather. Their schedule range can never change. They're a 1. Well, I guess it could change based on movement. If this team moves or relocates, right, there could be a new stadium kind of thing. And their run TD now, because they got a ball control coach, is 2+. And I would argue, looking at the team, because we already know that 4 teams didn't change at all, I would argue Canton is in the better position than they were last year. And I know they are, because this team was depleted in 5 of their 7 games and went 3-2-2. So had Canton been healthy, holy cow, folks, they might have been 4-1-1. They might have been 5-0-2 or something. Canton might have absolutely stomped the snot out of everybody. So in a way, losing that coach helped them, and they're going to maybe be healthy. Here's the problem. Canton cannot get anyone to come to their house, so they're going to have to work on that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and try to schedule a couple of weeks so people can see how that works. I think in the game here, Dell tells you how to start this for scheduling. Big draw procedure. Choose a schedule before the season. So no, we're doing unscheduled games. We're using the dynamic caps. No host draws rolls for legal games. So he has a whole 8-step scheduling process. I use when I first created this rule, I sent him a pretty simple rule for this. And I think he sticks to it, but I think he was very concerned about off-centered schedules and things. I mean, it's very tough. It's a very tough thing for modern people to think that there would be such a thing as a pro league where a team might go on the road for 9 games or might not be at home, but 2 out of 7 weeks or something. So the rule I had originally written and sent him was a little simpler. All you do is the team with the lowest number gets to try to lure somebody to their house. So in week 1, we're going to go back to the first week, and you'll see how I do this for the first week. But I advise you follow his rules. Don't do what I do. Do what the book says, right? You don't want Dell, like the Christmas, like the Santa Claus, he knows who's been good or bad. So be good for goodness sake. I'm not, right? I'm not. Okay. So Canton gets to go first because they are a 1. So they have the best chance to fail miserably trying to invite a team to their house. That's why I go with the lowest guy first. So Canton could then been invited by somebody else, so they wouldn't necessarily miss the week. But who would Canton want to draw? Well, the Muncie Flyers in Allentown they defeated. That's how they won the title in the vote. And they'd want to get to the toughest team in the schedule before they're beat up. So Allentown is a +1 offense. New York should have won it all, man. This was a good team. Really good team. Muncie improved. Well, it's arguable. Raleigh, Okay. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and have Canton invite. I think they're going to want Raleigh. So if I can roll a 1, Canton will talk Raleigh into coming to their house. No, hell nah. Okay, so Canton is kind of an odd man out now. Next up's Muncie. Who would they want to battle? Well, I think they're going to want to go after a fairly regional opponent. Allentown, maybe. So Muncie's going to try to get Allentown. 1 or 2, Allentown will agree. No, Allentown says, forget you, man. Uh-oh. So now we're coming up on Portsmouth, 1-3. Portsmouth's going to want a shot. I think Portsmouth's going to want a shot at Raleigh. Because, again, Raleigh, I think, is the weakest team. So here we go. Yep, so there it is. Raleigh at Portsmouth. That's sweet. So those two are done. And these guys can't invite anybody else. They have to be invited. We got New York and Allentown Militia. Allentown will invite the champs. Now, I can roll to see if they say no, or they would accept because they don't have a schedule. So they're not going to want to miss this week, so they're going to accept. But that means typical. Last year, same thing happened to them. They ended up on the road an extra game more than they would have wanted to be. But they are going to be in Allentown. And then we got New York and Muncie. Well, there's no one left to invite. So New York would invite Muncie. Muncie says, sure, we'll come on out. And Muncie are the road warriors. These guys had one home game last year, 5 road games, and finished 3-2-1. So, again, not a bad football team last year. New York should have been probably the champs, but that poor non-league schedule kind of rubbed up badly against them. And that's it. So that was not a problem, right? So really what you're doing, you're not trying to create holes in your schedule. You're just trying to make sure that realistically teams have a chance to decline going to Canton, right? So that's week 1. Week number 2. Let's go ahead and do week 2. This is week 1. Okay, so Raleigh and Portsmouth have played, so we're not going to have that go down again. Where's New York? Remember, we don't roll for New York. We roll them in order. At least I do it in this order. Okay. All right, so we're back to the top. Canton, who do they want? Canton wants Raleigh. They're going to keep inviting Raleigh until they come. Nope, Raleigh says, man, leave us alone. We're not interested in going over to Canton. Muncie's going to go for Raleigh again. No. So Raleigh is a pain in the arse. They don't want to do nothing. Allentown is going to invite Muncie, and Muncie will accept. Oops. Muncie on the road again at Allentown. Again, they're kind of forced to. They go early. And why do I start with them early? Again, I'll explain this. Not just because they are a poor draw, but it's more realistic that if we assume that they were on the phone with every team in the league trying to get this scheduled, this just represents quickly that they would have to accept whatever offer they get because no one wants to come to them. So I don't want to see a team with a 1-5 fail early. It doesn't make sense. You see what I'm saying? Right. Okay. All right, so Muncie and Allentown face off. So that's different, fortunately. Portsmouth will, let's see, Portsmouth played Raleigh. Portsmouth's going to go after New York. That would be a big draw to get New York to their house. Nope. New York will go after, let's see here, who would they invite? Yeah, they might go after Raleigh. Remember, Raleigh's poor, so let's see if they can get Raleigh. No, Raleigh won't go. Boy, they are stubborn as shite. All right, so 3 teams have no game this week, and Raleigh is sitting in their lofty spread of 1-5. Basically, it would be a matter of stubbornness if they invited somebody. Would that somebody miss the week's games to say no? So Raleigh has declined everybody. The question is, the team they invite, would they go or would they be spiteful? No, New York, we won't come to your house, but you can come to us, and New York will accept because again they don't want to miss games. So New York's going to go on to Raleigh, and we have 2 teams that are not allowed to try again. They're going to miss the week. So bye week for Portsmouth and Canton. Not ideal, folks. They missed because they failed. They aren't allowed to invite each other because they... So there it is, folks. Week 3. Let's go ahead and do week 3. All right, let's go back to the top. Canton is a 1. Muncie is a 2. Allentown, let's go with Allentown, Portsmouth this time. 1, 2, 3. Allentown's 1 to 3. New York and Raleigh. Okay, Canton is tired of inviting Raleigh. This time they're going to try Muncie. And no, ain't going to happen. Muncie says, we were on the road all but one game last year. We're not doing it. Muncie will invite Canton. Would Canton decline and risk missing? No. They're the champs. They're going to take it. Canton at Muncie. So Muncie secures another home game finally. So they're on the road. On the road, finally they're home against Canton because Canton doesn't want to risk being left out. So that'll work beautifully. What's so cool about that is Muncie, man, ironically, I rolled a few ones. I think Canton also played a 1 non-league game last year. All right, so now we got Portsmouth, Allentown. So Portsmouth played Raleigh, so we won't do that again. And then Portsmouth had a bye, so they don't want to mess this up. So they are going. They did play Raleigh, so they're going to go after the Big Apple, the Tycoons. Nope. Tycoons say nope. Take a hike. Allentown is going to go after. So Allentown played Canton. Allentown played Muncie. They're going to go after the Tycoons, the Big Apple. Yes. So New York can't go. So maybe they didn't decline Portsmouth. It's just, hey, man, we've already accepted invite to Allentown. So New York and Allentown are done. And Raleigh, there's only one team left here for them to deal with. They'll invite Portsmouth, and Portsmouth does not want to miss another week. And this will be Raleigh. All right, week 4. So Raleigh right now, I think, has been at home in every week. Let's see. Wait. Raleigh invited. Oh, no, Portsmouth landed Raleigh, didn't they? That's right. Sorry. So Raleigh did go on the road early. Home against New York and home against, Portsmouth again. Oh, that's all right. You can play each other twice. There's no law against that. Week 4. Here we go. Canton Bulldogs, Muncie Flyers. Let's go with Portsmouth, Allentown, New York, and Raleigh. Gee, many Christmas. All right, Canton. Canton has been on the road, missed a week on the road. They got to get somebody. They're going for Raleigh again. Yes, they finally got Raleigh to agree. Canton breathes a sigh of relief. They got the Raleigh Rebels. They want them because they're not a very good team. No other reason. I don't think Raleigh fans had traveled to Canton, but they might. All right, Muncie still wants the Big Apple. They're going for the Big Apple, the Tycoons. Yes, hot dog. So all the big city teams are agreeing for balance's sake. And then we got Portsmouth and Allentown. Allentown and Portsmouth, yep, they haven't played yet. They have not played yet. That's good news. So, where is it going? Is it Portsmouth going to Allentown? Excuse me, is it, they're inviting Allentown. Yes. So, everybody is playing well together, and the commissioner isn't pulling his hair out that there's no games in the week. Holy cow, that's week 4. We're going to do week 5. I might get the whole thing scheduled here. Week 5. I'm only doing 6 weeks, so week 5 I won't be having any non-league games this year. I'm setting myself up for a permanent schedule, so I don't want to do non-league games again. All right, here we go. Let's see if Canton can draw the Big Apple. Nope. So Canton misses the Big Apple. Can Muncie? Let's see what Muncie did. God dang it. Let's see here. Ha! Yep, they already drew New York. So Muncie's going to try to draw who else did Muncie play? I want to be careful because Muncie's already played somebody twice. They played Allentown, New York, Muncie played Canton. Somebody's played each other twice. Portsmouth and Raleigh have. So they flipped. So they basically flipped. Muncie's going to go for... they didn't get Raleigh yet. They're going to go for Raleigh. Yes, they're going to get them. Raleigh at Muncie. Wow, so Raleigh, with that beautiful big stadium, is agreed to go on the road multiple times this year. That's fascinating. Okay, Allentown. We want to make sure we don't double up too many of the same opponents. Allentown has got Canton, Muncie, New York, Portsmouth. So they need... oh, they needed Muncie, didn't they? Well, they'll try to double somebody up. Okay, they had Canton into town. They went on the road to... they had Muncie into town. They had New York into town. They went to Portsmouth. They're going to invite Portsmouth to come to their house and reciprocate. Nope. Portsmouth says, no, you're not going to get a second chance at us. So Allentown invited Portsmouth, didn't work out. Let's see here. Portsmouth now has a choice. They had Raleigh, not available. They had Raleigh and actually played Raleigh, and then they had Allentown. So they're gonna invite New York. I think New York's gonna probably say no way, Jose. Yep, New York's coming to Portsmouth. How about that? So those are done, and folks, that means Allentown and the Canton Bulldogs are out this week. So Canton's getting 2 weeks. They're gonna miss 2 games this week, this year. Yep. So bye week is going to be Canton and Allentown. Wow. And last but not least, week 6. I may have to add a week 7. I'll check my schedule later to make sure. So Canton again with an opportunity here. They're going to try. Let me double check. I don't want to make sure I don't reschedule the exact same thing. All right. Canton's going to go for New York again. Maybe they can get him. Nope. So poor Canton. They're the defending champs, and they may end up only having 2 games, 3 games. Let's see here. Muncie. You know what? I think Muncie is going to... they want to be at home. Remember, last year they were screwed. Oh, they already played Canton at home. Muncie played New York, New York. Canton, and Raleigh. So Portsmouth, Muncie to Portsmouth. Yep, guess what? There we go. It's not pretty doing this, but it's fun because it's, you know, it's kind of the chaos that would happen without a bylaws, you know, without a commissioner and a league vote on what the league structure is going to be. So, okay, so what do we got left? We got 3 teams left. We don't want to leave out Canton, so one of these teams is going to invite Canton, and they're going to take it. New York, did they play? Yeah, how would New York not want a shot? That owner would be angry that they didn't get... Yep, so he's going to invite Canton. Canton's going to go on the road to play New York. And that means we got Raleigh and Allentown left. And let's see here, Raleigh, Muncie. Yeah, so it's either way. If Allentown fails to get Raleigh, Raleigh can then invite Allentown. They do fail, and Raleigh will invite them, and they'll take it. So it'll be Allentown versus Raleigh in the final week of the season. So we're going to have a couple of teams with just 4 games or 5 games. So let's see. Canton's going to be... Canton missed 2 weeks. So Canton is technically going to be... they're going to have only 4 games in 1961. Portsmouth's going to have 5 games in 61. And Allentown's only going to have 5 games in 61. So 1961, not a lot of money to be made here, but remember, the less games you play, the less money you spend. Canton is broke. If they have another cash crisis, they fold. So Canton, ironically, Canton not playing in 2 weeks saves $6 million or $6. So ironically, if Canton can win these games and save money on those 2 weeks, Canton might come out with some money and save themselves from back-to-back cash crisis. So, not too bad. Not too bad. Canton's going to get only 4 games. So now, folks, I'm ready to start 1961. I've completed the offseason. Allentown saw no changes. Raleigh had no changes in the offseason. Canton had a new head coach, which meant everything had to change. And they got a new run number, and that's it. And they are better than they were the last year. New York, no changes. Portsmouth, no changes. Muncie lost their special teams coach, and it's hurt them. -1 field goal, -2 return, +2. Not a great loss. I mean, a pretty serious loss for them in the special teams department. All right, everybody, have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.